Hello, hello, good morning. Can you hear me? Just give a thumbs up if you can hear me, or you can say
Yeah,
something.
good morning.
Hello,
Good
great.
morning.
Good morning. Right, so you can hear me loud and clear, and you can see my screen as well.
Yeah,
Awesome. Cool. So no technical issues there. That's great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone who's joined. While we wait for others to join, I'm just going to launch a poll. Um, and please just do fill the poll up. It allows us to be able to measure impact, help direct the conversation, and also to provide any support after the webinar if it's necessary. So I'm just going to launch that poll now and just take some time to fill that. Thank you to those that are filling fill the polls. It's very useful. We've got quite a number of things to cover, and um, it's just be good to know where people are before we delve in, and so it guides the conversation and how we proceed. Still waiting for others. Just because the questions are quite a number, I might kick off, leave the poll on just for the introduction because I'm trying to make sure that we are within time. Great. Okay. Right. In case you're not aware, we are currently recording. So please do take care to mute your mics and just be careful. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm still going to leave that on just so that we have more people join, and I would end that just in about a few minutes. I'm excited for every one of you that's joined me today. My name is Damiloju, and I'm the founder of Uphill Transformation Solutions, also known as Uphill Grow and Transform. We're a personal transformation company that provides education and a platform that enables individuals to take transformative actions that change their life. Um, about four key areas that we'll focus on, three to four. And I say three to four, you would know why. First is self-development. The second is finance. The third is relationship. Fourth is the spiritual aspect. And that's why it's three to four, because I'm aware that some people are like, no, they're not interested in that. But this is, I believe this is something that makes the whole person. And so we look after those areas as they play a key role in living our best lives, becoming the best version of ourselves, um, living healthier, happier, and more fulfilled. Just a little bit about myself. My educational background is in the sciences. Recently completed my PhD in engineering, maybe not so recent, but yeah. However, transformation and helping people grow and transform their lives, either by helping them start a business, work on their physical appearance or image, build self-confidence, live unhealthy, abusive relationship, to forming healthier relationships. So I've been doing this for a while. And as much as I love what I do in the sustainability space, which is, by the way, happy accident, the joy that I feel from helping people is immeasurable, which is why I founded Up Grow and Transform. And our goal is to help people become the best version of themselves, live their best life, and make positive impact in the world. Um, we do this through three key areas. First is events such as this one that you're attending today. The second is through our community that we're just growing. We've got a WhatsApp and a Facebook page. and we also on all social media platforms. But I find that the WhatsApp page is where I get to share how I'm feeling as it comes and share my thoughts as they come. And I found that it's been very useful, but this is only the early stages, and we've got more plans with our community, with the community providing support, opportunity for collaboration and accountability for us to actually achieve our goals. And then we've got our services, which is tied to some of our courses, our programs, and the opportunity to collaborate, like I just said. So thank you to those that have filled the poll. And I'm just going to end the poll now. We still had three more people who didn't fill, or maybe they're still filling it up, but I'm just going to end the poll now so that we can go in because we've got quite a distance to cover. Right, so from the poll, we've got, I'm just going to share that. We've got 71% of people do not have a budget, 71%, I guess the same people do not stick to it. We've got other questions there that we'll get into. Do you have a savings for emergency? We're going to delve into that. So be it half and half. Do you currently invest? 71% of us not investing. And then we're split. So we've got more people who are not invested in anything. We've got others. I'm very interested to know what that others are. They've got some in real estate, 43% is stocks. Well, at the moment, I guess we've got more people joined in now. And what would you like to invest in? We've got more people saying stocks. We've got real estate and business and startup. All right, great. Well, that's very useful. It helps us. All right, to the reason why we are here today, thank you for filling that poll again to start thriving financially. The reason why this is so close to my heart is one of many reasons. Is because a lot of us growing up were never taught about money, and me inclusive, right? All we were told was go to school, get a good grade, and land a good job, and you would be fine. But I quickly realized growing up that no matter how much you make, if you are not financially literate and you do not have control of your money, life will happen. Not life may happen, life will happen. And it will be a bit unfortunate because you would, first of all, even though you're making money, you will find that you're maybe living paycheck to paycheck. You're always financially stressed. And you might be one emergency to being broke and being poor and being totally out of resources and not being able to look after yourself. So if you're like me, and that doesn't sound like a life that you want to live, because for me, that was not the kind of life I want to live. I didn't want to be living from paycheck to paycheck, waiting for the next time I'm going to be paid before I could do things. Being afraid that what happens if I lose my job, you know, I just could not live in that level of uncertainty. And so it was very important for me to want to take control of my destiny, have freedom, and not be at the mercy of any job. So if this sounds like you at all, then you're in the right webinar. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what is your why? A lot of people, when they talk about money, they just like, I just want to make more money. Now, if all you want to do is make more money, it almost sounds like you'll be chasing everything that is out there. You'll be chasing the next buzz that is out there. If it's cryptocurrency, if it's affiliate marketing, if it's, I just want to, you're looking to change jobs every 2 to 3 days. If all that's all you're looking to do, then that's sums the kind of life. And those sort of people tend to fall into a lot of scams because their reason is not deep, and they are not taking the steps to actually start thriving so that they don't fall into that sort of lifestyle. So my first question is why do you want to thrive financially? For me, it goes beyond being able to afford luxury. In fact, this is not something that is part of the reason why I want to thrive financially. I want to do so because life is already hard. And the last thing I want to add to that is being broke or having to constantly worry about money or what happens if I get laid off and I couldn't leave. I'm thinking about my children. I'm thinking about being able to afford comfort, to live life, easy, get help when I need them, to support causes that are important to me, and to be able to help my family when the need arises or for whatever thing, right? So there is a deeper meaning for me. It's not just for myself, it's for my family, it's for me to be able to make impact in the world and to actually live my life on my own terms. Now, in this webinar, I'm going to share 7 steps to start thriving financially. And you might want to take a few minutes to think about your why and see if your why is deep enough. If your why is not deep enough, you'll find that a lot of things that will be said, you'll be like, there'll be excuses, right? My why is very deep. I cannot afford my children not have the lifestyle that I need them to have or want them to have. I cannot afford that my parents fall ill and I'm not able to support them. I just cannot afford that. So I cannot have an excuse, right? And in that kind of thing, the first thing you need to do is to change your mindset. The first step in thriving financially is to change your mindset. You would not know how much this is important until you start to do the things that you're meant to do, or you start to interrogate your internal dialogue and what you've got and how you're processing your thoughts. So if you think that you can, then you can. If you think that you can't, then you can't, certainly. So I'm not going to say try and prop up yourself. You need to first of all change your mindset. Change your mindset from this can't work for me. Other people have better advantage. I can never do it. This is too difficult. I don't have the money to do it. The government should help me. Why can't my family support me? If these are your mindset, you're running in the negative mindset already. You need to shift your mind to a positive mindset where everything we talk about today is possible to you, that you can do it, that you can try it, that there is a lot of money everywhere, that there are opportunities, and that the opportunities are for you, and that you can live in abundance. So for me, this is the first thing that had to change. The first thing is your mind. I had to come to a place personally where I started to believe that money was everywhere. I needed to open my eyes and I would see it. Money is not scarce. I don't need the government to come to my aid. It's good to have grants and all of those things, but that I can make it work, that things are aligning to work for me. The second thing is financial literacy. I'm very excited for us that have joined this webinar because this is only like the foundation of you starting your journey. There's so much that you still need to learn. Prior to where I am today, I made a lot of financial mistake. I realized that when I work and something happened, I just needed to keep working. There's no stopping. If I stopped, I'd immediately be broke. And this didn't resonate. So the second thing is financial literacy. You might have a good mindset, but if you don't get educated on how to do it right, you keep doing it wrong and you never get anywhere. So read books. You're attending this webinar. It's a good start. You still need to take more trainings and more courses. This is not going to be the end of it. I still take more trainings. I still take more courses. And it's very, very important on the journey. I'll tell you the first book that I read that started to shift my mind on how I looked at money. The book, you would all have seen it, maybe heard about it, or maybe seen it on social media. It's The Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And one of the things that was life transforming for me from that is this quote that says, the rich do not work for money, but money work for them. And this for me sounded like the life that I wanted to live. How can I move myself from a position where if I don't actually physically go to work, I can't make money, to a point where I don't need to always be, at a job to make money. I don't need to be the one to make all the money that I have, that I can make my money work for me. So this was very important for me, and this set the background for me. And one key thing that the rich used to do this, which was shared in that book, and I would talk to you more about them, is the rich build and acquire assets. The rich build and acquire assets. Now, if I ask you what an asset is, we don't have enough time, but if I ask you what an asset is, you can start to put it in the chat. We'll start to see what people's thoughts are, or what your mind is on. But if I want to simply explain it to you, asset is what puts money in your pocket. Liability is what takes money out of your pocket. Whether you like it or not, anything can become a liability if it takes money out of your pocket. And anything can become an asset if it puts money in your pocket. And so on this table, you'll find, on your left, assets, on the right, you find liabilities. And there are some of these assets that maybe we're familiar with, right? And I won't read through all of them, but I've highlighted primary residence there, and we will expand more on it maybe when we get to part of talking about real estate, right? But let's focus on the liabilities. You've got debts, you've got mortgage, you've got car loans, you've got student loans, you've got other liabilities, unpaid taxes, medical bills, and all of that. So the background of what you want to do is you want to reduce your liabilities and you want to increase your assets, because assets are what's going to make you the money. So now we share with you the 3 legacy assets that the rich use, that I'm grateful that I've gotten the opportunity to also start using. And these 3 is real estate, stocks, and business. And it's very interesting because I feel like stocks is the all-encompassing of both. If you heard me talk before, you know that I really, really, really like stocks, just because I feel like everybody can do it, and you can start with whatever you have, right? Not all of us will create content. Not all of us will sell on Amazon. Not all of us can run businesses. Not all of us would have enough to buy into real estate, but stocks allows you to do both. In that, when you have stocks, you own a share of a business. So you are a business owner without actually having to run the business. When you also own stocks, you could also invest in stocks that are invested in real estate. Then it makes you a real estate owner without actually owning real estate, right? And if you're lucky to have the 3, awesome, work for you. So I'll touch more a little bit about that, but I want to set a bit of foundation for you on stocks, open your mind. I love stocks and I talk about it quite a bit. A little bit of statistics for you. For over 5 decades, that's from 1971 to about 2021, the US household income, we use that because they've got a lot of data, right? I know I'm in New Zealand and some of you are in different parts of the world, but this just gives it context. Household income has increased about 600%, including moving, from one income household to 2 income household. So you would know that earlier in the days, only men went to work, women didn't work. So they relied on one income. So including 2 incomes, over 5 decades, we've seen income increase by only 600%, right? Now, in that same 5 decade, we've seen the S&P 500 grow about 4,000%. 4,000. Compare that, if you're relying on just your income, and then over that time, it tells us also that what our parents tell us about just go to school, get a good job, and you'll be fine would no longer work, because that 600% that increase over 5 decades does not even help with inflation, right? But we've seen the S&P 500 grow 4,000% in that time. Now, over 5 years, which is very recently, that's from 2019 to to now, we've seen the S&P 500 grow over 100%. And I know because I've been doing, and income have only grown about 18%. And if you check it, you would know that there's hardly any job that pays you enough to live the kind of life that you want to live. There's hardly any job. Maybe some people have those kind of job, but I would say maybe not all of us, not most of us, right? And again, if you have that kind of job and you're not doing the right thing with it, you could still end up, in a position that you don't want to be financially. All right. So the third thing I'm going to talk about now is to have a source of income. I want to believe that most of us on this call today have a source of income. If you don't, I highly, highly, highly urge you to get one. Get an active employment, right? But active employment could be hard. It could be challenging. Maybe you don't find a job. I'll tell you, get any sort of job that you can get to start because it doesn't matter what job you get. The point is the foundation step is to have a source of income. You see, the reason why the rich keeps getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer is because the rich have money to keep getting richer and the poor do not have any money to change their lives. So if you're angry that the rich keeps getting richer, imagine the rich that put their money into the S&P 500 4 years ago. They've doubled it by this year. That's why they keep getting richer. And you who do not have any source of income to put your money in S&P 500, you're nowhere, right? So if you want to do anything, you want to try financially, the first thing is to have a source of income, and it doesn't matter what source of income it is. I personally have had to do all sort of job to lay my foundation, right? It doesn't matter if I had to do laundry, if I had to work admin, it doesn't matter if I had to do extra jobs just to build that foundation. Because once you build it, that's all you need. Get active employment, but if you can't, get another source of income. Now that we've said all that, those are the foundation steps. Foundation steps, you have your financial literacy, you change your mindset, you get a source of income. Now you can begin the journey. And I'm going to move straight into the first step. That is a foundation step. Now you've got a source of income. What do you do with it? Because what I realize is that you can keep your money in the savings account for all you want. It's not going to match inflation, which means that your money, let's say you save $1,000 and it was able to buy you something this year, that same $1,000 would not be able to buy you the exact same thing next year. So if you are just saving money, then you'll be nowhere, right? Because the value of the money cannot do what you need to do when you get to the time that you need it to do it. And so again, the rich do not just put their money in savings accounts. If anything, the rich, our money in savings account is what is being borrowed to the rich people to have more wealth, right? And then they give you a little bit percent. In New Zealand at the moment, the savings of I savings is about 3 point something percent. Last year or early in the year was about 4%, only because there was inflation. Now things are beginning to drop, and the interest rate has gone down. Now, in talking about directing your income, this is important, and this is slightly, I don't talk about it from the outlook of budgeting. I talk about it from the outlook of you need to control what your money is doing. What I find happens to a lot of us is we get paid, we get money, and we just spend. We don't pay any attention to what we're spending to. So we pay everybody, but not ourselves. We pay our landlord, we pay our utilities, we pay for anything. We pay at the restaurant, we pay, but we don't pay ourselves. And paying yourself is your savings and your investments. That's you paying yourself. So when I talk about direct your income, and I talk about this more in my course, I talk about all the different levers you want your money to do and how you want it to do it automatically without interference. For example, if I get paid my income, the next day it leaves my account to do all the things that I needed to do because I've planned it. Now, I even have a different account for gifting people stuff. So let's say I've got a budget of $100. If I finish my $100 budget and you give back, oh, thank you. Oh, very low. I'm going to look for an alternative gift for you because I've finished my gifting budget. Call it anything you want, but if it's not part of the plan, and if I want to go the extra mile, I could then say, oh, okay, I've got a spare emergency that I can fund that I want to use for this purpose, but that's not an emergency. It's because it's not my emergency, right? Someone else has a baby. It's not my emergency. The thing is, we do not think that all of this is important, but it is. Have you ever met rich people and thought they were stingy? It's because of things like this. They are wealthy, but the money is not in their account to give to people. And that's the challenge. They don't have it in their account. They are wealthy on paper. They are wealthy. They can do what they need to do, but they don't have money laying around to do things that they've not planned for. So you need to direct your money. So some key things I want you to remember. All you get from your income is all you have, except you multiply it. The second thing is most companies will not pay you enough to be rich or live your best life. The third thing I want you to remember is it's your responsibility to set yourself free. In fact, it's absolutely possible with your employment because in some way, shape, or form, not all of us are going to start businesses. Not all of us are going to buy real estate, but all of us can do something to change our lives, right? Now, if you're thinking about splurging just so that you can show to people that you're living well, remember that nobody cares. Literally, everyone is trying to go through life and no one truly cares. The fifth thing is maximize your income. Make it work for you. Invest a minimum of 15%, save a minimum of 10%. That's the minimum. For those that attended my previous webinar, I shared with you that in the early days, I wasn't saving just 15% or investing. I was investing almost 50% of my income because I needed to leave a struggling position. I needed to move from that position. So if you are like me, I reviewed one of my investment account the other day, and it says you have an aggressive portfolio. I say, yeah, right, because it's very important to me to hit a certain mark at a certain time in my life. And so I'm not wasting time. I'm not testing the waters. I'm going all in because this is the time that I can do that. Now, if you can't do anything, start with at least $50. I don't know how much currency or what's the lowest currency where you are, but start with something. Never make the mistake of saying, I do not have enough, which is why I'm going to say this. You may have to make huge sacrifice to create the allowance in your income that allows you to save and invest. What I hear most from people is, I just don't make enough money. You don't make enough money, but you eat. You don't make enough money, but you give people money. You don't make enough money. Someone else's emergency comes. You have money to give them for their own emergency, but you don't have any savings for your emergency. You don't make enough money, but you are able to pay your bills. You've got light on. So it tells me that you can make an allowance. You can make sacrifices. And even if the sacrifice is just going to be for the first 6 months, just so that you have money to be able to make money, because you need that foundation for you to build. The fifth step is be brutal with your debts. Now, I don't talk a lot about debt, except that two things I tell you about debt is that there can be good debt and there can be bad debts. Bad debt is like liability. It takes money out of you. Good debt actually puts money in your pocket. It's like an asset. So if I borrow money to buy an income producing asset or business, then that's a good debt because that debt can pay for itself and still put money in my pocket, right? Now, but if I go and buy an expensive car, and take a loan to buy it, then that's bad debt because I'm just paying for that car. In fact, by the time I want to sell that car, I couldn't sell it for the value for which I'm now buying. Not to talk of even be able to pay for the for the interest that comes on that. So you want to then, in that light, knowing that information, you want to first deal with your interest debts. So if you've got debts that are 10% or higher, whatever, the highest interest rate, you want to start clearing that first. Another strategy people use to clear debt is to say, I'm going to start with a smaller one. So if you have like a $500 debt, you want to clear that first because it then gives you some sort of momentum to keep going. All right. So again, get rid of your debts, especially the debts that are liabilities to you. Right. The sixth thing is you want to build your emergency fund. When I did the poll in the beginning, we asked how many, people have emergency funds. I think it was about 50 people that filled 50% of the people in this webinar at the time. Now, I don't know what you regard as emergency fund, but emergency fund is literally 3 to 6 months of your monthly living cost. 3 to 6 months of your monthly living cost. If I ask some of us on this call, what's our living cost? We probably don't know. And your living cost is the money it costs you to live in a month. Your rent, your utilities, your groceries, if you transport to work and it's important because you have to get to work, right? All of that. Your main important expenses, I'm not talking about other things that do not fall in that, are your living costs. It's important. Why? Because let's say you lost your job, would you be able to survive 3 to 6 months without getting another job? Or are you going to instantly become poor just because you lost your job? Or are you instantly going to become a liability to others just because you lost your job? Now, this is something that you need to think about. 3 to 6 months of your income. Now, you can start with, start saving 10% of your income, like I said, or again, start with something, but you just need to start because emergency can hit at any time. I mean, no one could have predicted COVID, and yet COVID happened. Now, the seventh thing you want to do is to invest consistently. There is no work around this. You know the rich we talked about in the beginning of this webinar, they are constantly invested in something. And investment is what multiplies your money, is what makes you more money, is what compounds your money over time. And so you need to invest in yourself consistently. And the investment even would have to start from financial literacy. What I find very interesting is that people want to make money, but they don't want to pay to learn to know how to make money. I find it very interesting. When you ask people, oh, can you, there's this course for, I don't know how much, $300 for you to, know how to try financial. They don't want to take it. Why? Because they think they want to save that $300. Well, I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars in, financial education in order to leave a struggling position because I can tell myself, and I look back now, if I hadn't invested that money, because I'm not paying that person, I'm investing in my own future. Because at this point, I have tried everything by myself and totally lost money. Now, if I had done some of the things I later learned, I'll be way, way along in my journey. But a lot of us don't want to because we think that it's not worth it. I would learn it somehow. Well, good luck. But in whatever you do, invest consistently. And I'm not just talking about, investing in the education. I'm talking about investing in those assets that we talked about at least in stocks, in real estate, and in business. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is real estate. And you will find that I'm rushing a bit now because we're really run out of time. I don't delve too much on real estate because a lot could be said about it. So the few things I'm going to tell you about real estate is with real estate, the issue is a lot of us know real estate as an asset and we want to have it. And so when we start to make money, we first aspire to buy real estate. The issue with real estate is you need significant amount of capital to do it, no matter where you are in the world. And so the easy in route into real estate is to have real estate investment trust stocks. There are stocks that are called REIT stocks, and it's that it could be an entry level for you. Now, the good thing about those kinds of stocks is that they pay you dividends because those kind of stocks are set up for that exact purpose. They are companies that invest in real estate, that invest in income producing real estate. So a shopping complex and all of that, they invest in all of that. There is income from that and they pay those that are invested in that real estate every month. So that could be an entry point for you. Now, let's say you've been saving a lot and you do have the money to invest in real estate. Let's say you're in New Zealand and you've got your 20% to invest in real estate. I'll tell you these three things to consider before going in. You want to see, can I really afford it? And I'm not just talking about afford the down payment, because that's how much or how far people think about it. But can you afford the down payment in addition to being able to save and invest in other things? That's one. The second thing is, can you afford the monthly payments? And can you afford emergencies? So something breaks in your house, you need the plumber to come in and fix stuff. Now, if you are living in a rented apartment, you need to call your landlord. That's not your problem. But once you become your own landlord, this becomes your problem. And don't even get me started on how much it costs to call people to come fix stuff. Don't even get me started. So there is insurance, there is taxes, there is ongoing maintenance. The question is, can you afford it? So it's not just paying the down payment. I know quite a number of people who have their houses but are really struggling. All they are doing is chasing mortgage payment. And if they have real life emergencies, they couldn't attend to it because they're chasing payment. Now, if you have to be chasing payments to pay for your property, then you can't afford it. That's the simple answer to that. Now, the third thing I want to say is investing in residential property that you're staying in might not be an investment, especially if it's not putting money in your pocket. I'll say that again. Investing in a property only for you to stay with your family might not be an investment, because remember, an asset is what puts money in your pocket. A liability is what takes money out. Now, if you are staying in your house and you are not getting any income from that, right? Except, of course, if you lease out part of the house and it's putting money in your pocket, then great, then it's an asset. But if all you're doing is staying in your house, like I have some people that they have a 4-bedroom house and it's just two of them and they're not renting two of the rooms out. I'm like, well, that's interesting, right? And then, but if something happens, they're like, oh, we need to look for money to pay off. Anyway, if you're not making money from your assets, it's not an asset. It's good. I'm not saying it's bad to have it, because if it fits your long-term plan and strategy, great. But if you're looking at it as an income producing asset, in that you want it to put money in your pocket, then you staying in that property might not be an asset for you after all. Now, so I think I've mentioned the things that I wanted to talk about on that. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to talk about stocks because I'm looking at time now. I love stocks and I talk about stocks a lot because I think that stocks is an easy entry into building wealth. Simple. For the everyday person is easy entry. Now, usually I will show the investment calculator when we get to this point, but because we're running out of time, I wouldn't. And thankfully, I've got um as what you've got on the screen so we can see it. So I'm just going to talk about this quickly. So let's assume that and if you can, David, if you can please drop the link to this calculator, you can try it out yourself at a later time. So let's say you start investing and you put in $1,000, and every week you continue to put $100. You can try it in your own currency or where you are, whatever suits, but this is what we're going with. And you do it weekly. Let's do a 7% return, and we'll just extra conservative here. You do this for 30 years without doing anything, your investment would be worth this much, over $500,000, from doing nothing, from doing nothing. And so, and this 7% is very, very conservative. Like I said, in the last 5 years, the S&P has grown 100%. Personally, I've seen there's been an average of 12% over the last, year. So this 7% is very, 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 very conservative. And if that's not enough for you in terms of you don't think that that's enough evidence for you, well, I'll show you this. So last year, and about this time last year, I started to try these three stocks and see how well it's going to do. So if you keep your eyes here, this is the total amount I've put in this particular stocks. It's about 3,000. But look at the total return, and this is just over a year. You know that because you see this icon here, it says 1 year. And this is how much this stock has returned in just 1 year, which is about 29% for this particular one, right? Now for this one, which is almost, I put in similar amount into this one as well, and I can see a simple return of 31% just in 1 year. And this is how much that is. Now, for this one, you see, I haven't put as much, but again, I put in this because at the time when I started investing in this stock, it was just coming up and I wasn't too sure. I was like, okay. So I did this. Don't have much money in it, but you can see how much is returned. At the time that I recorded this was this amount, and at this money is at 99%, this particular one. So if you want to you don't want to do anything, at least invest in stocks. All right. And because it's possible, everyone can do it. Now, if you're like me, you want to know how can you start? Well, I cover a lot of detail in my course, which we can't cover yet because we're limited with time. In New Zealand, you can just go to Shares, which is a stockbroker. You can start with as low as $50. There's Shares, there is Tiger Trade. In places like Nigeria, there is Trove, there is Bamboo. In the US, just Google stockbroker app, and you would find a good one that you can use. All right. Any questions at this point? Because we're running out of time. Any questions before I shoot off to what's left? So we've talked about just two things briefly. We've talked about stocks. We've talked about real estate just briefly. All right. How do I choose the stock? Well, good, interesting question. Okay, a good idea when you're starting out is, again, I covered this in my course, but a good idea when you're starting out is you want to start with stocks or ETFs. We don't have time to cover what ETFs are here, but ETF are sort of like a basket of fruits that has quite a number of companies that you can keep investing in. In fact, the everyday person needs to just do an ETF. You can do an ETF of the S&P 500. But aside that, if I want to choose individual stock, I think of where is the world going? What company is doing well? What's their financial looking like? What are they invested in? Or what's their business? What's their business about? How have they been doing in the last financial year? Look, all of this information is on the stockbroker app. Another thing you can think about is what kind of goods do I use every day that the everyday person use? What company sells the kind of goods that the everyday person or produces, right? Free tip here, for example, AI is an in thing now. So you might do that. But for someone starting, I don't encourage them to start with trying individual stocks. It's very, very safe for them to try what's it called? To try stocks to try the S&P 500 stock because that's just way, way less riskier for the everyday person. Okay. All right. Moving on, I'm going to talk about buy or start a business. Now, this is the last one of, the assets that you need to build. You need to buy or start a business. Um, Starting a business can be daunting, and not everyone can do it. And like I said, everyone can own a business, but not necessarily everyone can run or start one. And so, one of the things that I've found really useful is to collaborate with people to start a business. And in fact, this is one thing that really, really has helped me because in collaborating with people, you can come together with not just finances, but with your strengths. What you might be poor at, they might be great at, or you might not even want to, be part of the everyday running of the business, but you are able to invest in that, right? You're able to put your money towards it and get returns out of it with someone else doing the work that needs to happen. And so this is where I talk about the platforms that Uphill provides, that we have opportunity for people to collaborate together, put funds together to start a business, or we have other people in the community that might not want to be part of the ownership of that business in terms of the everyday running of it, but they want to be part of it and take interest out of it. So if you invest a certain amount, then you're able to get a certain amount out of it. Now, I can't talk about all that this entails at the moment because again, running out of time. Um, but if you can, Dave, please put the link in the chat. If you're interested in collaborating to buy businesses or invest in real estate that either you own or that you can invest in with interest, please do fill out your interest in the link. And once we have anything coming up, we'll let you know. Now, the great thing about that is everyone is going to be aware of what we're investing in. I mean, everyone who is in part of it, who is coming on board to do that. One of the things I find interesting is that people, or one of the ways that people have been scammed in the past is they put their money towards something that they do not understand, which is one financial mistake that a lot of people make that you want to avoid. Never put your money towards what you do not understand, what you cannot see, and is not being properly explained to you. For example, if we say we are buying a real estate, you must be able to see what that looks like. How much are we investing in that? What's the paperwork going to look like? So we've got a team in place, lawyers, accountants that would help with that. So this is not something that I'm going to do by myself, right? So we've got a team of people that does that to make sure that everyone that is involved in that is looked in and they know what they're investing their money in and they can make a decision. Of course, you might be interested to invest at this time. You might not be interested. You might be interested in this kind of business. I remember when we put an option forward for some people to invest and we're like, oh, we've got a salon, we've got a laundromat. And so people say, oh, I don't really like salon, for one reason or the other. I prefer to invest in a laundromat. So you get the opportunity to choose. Now, the last thing I want to talk about at this stage is to join the Uphill community. Joining the community does one thing. It's where I'm able to share quickly what comes to mind, what I'm thinking about, or where the direction of things are going. I sometimes share the things that doesn't make it to social media or to our pages. So do feel free to join the community. We've got a growing community on WhatsApp, we've got on Facebook, and there is more that is going to happen because in the community is where we'd have collaborations. In the community is where we'd be sharing more most of, and I think we've put the chat, we've put the that in the chat now for people to be able to join the WhatsApp community or the Facebook page or follow us on our social media. But that's important because, as I said, we're not just looking to educate people, we're looking to provide the platforms to do so. One of the things that frustrates me when I first started a while back and I was just coaching was that people would talk all about all these good things and they will not take any step, they would not do anything. And I'm thinking, why? Why are people not doing anything? And I find out that they need more support. Sometimes accountability, they need someone to follow up on them. And so these are all parts of the things that would happen in the group. Now I'm going to check because we're supposed to have one live testimony. I'm going to check if, and they were having technical difficulties. I will see if they've been able to join. One of the people that took the last webinar has been struggling to join. Let's see. Been trying to fix that, still having issues. All right. They're still having issues coming on. Their sound's not working as well. All right. But one of the things that I find a lot of joy in is when I get feedbacks from people of how they've started to make a difference in their life from the work that we do. Again, that's part of why we do the poll in the beginning, sort of measure impact. So people being able to tell us, oh, in the last webinar, I learned this, I'm now investing, or when I see some of them and they're like, oh, which I'm investing in these stocks and it's gone up to this amount and all of that. So it's good to have those conversations. And so even though they're having issues and they're still trying to get on, we're still chatting back and forth to sort that out. But I don't think that we're going to make that time. So we're just going to move on because we've got a few minutes left to this because everything that I've talked about, I've put in this course and I've expanded more on it and put more activities in for you to be able to do and follow through. The course is at $4.99. For those attending this course, we're going to do a 20% discount for you to be able to get this course and get more idea on it. Now, the course is not just me talking. The course has activities for you to do, things you need to do with your bank account to set up your stocks account, the stocks you can invest in. And the highlight of the course is that you then get a 60 to 90-minute one-on-one call with me and we set up your portfolio. We talk about your financial strategy. We talk about what your financial goal is, because those are part of things you will do in the course to sort of come up with what your financial independence plan is, how much, and by when do you want to be financially independent. Then we can craft a plan together to do that. And in case you're wondering, a one-on-one 1 hour with me is $250 per hour. So this is not even factored into the course, but it's an addendum for anyone that takes the course, because what I'm really passionate about and interested in is people taking action. I really do not want people to take the course if they don't want to take action. It's not going to serve any use. So it's very important for me that you take action, that you actually do something. So the first investment you want to make in yourself, like I said, you want to invest in your financial literacy. And I've tried my best to educate exactly what I did. Talking about some of the steps that I talked today, it's all in the course. I've expanded more on it, explained it, put in activities for you to do and actions you would take. So by the time you finish the course, you would have set up your stocks account. You would have been invested in at least 3 stocks. And I would also share some of the stock that I'm investing in my portfolio with you. So if you are interested in that, David will put the link in the chat. You can get it, or you can register or email that email address there, and we'll send it to you at a later time. Now, if you want to think about it, but remember to tell you that this is lasting only 14 days. So the 20% discount is only for 14 days. So after that, it goes back to the normal price. But if you want to take some time, please do. However, take advantage of the discount. Now, other resources you can read, like I said, investing in yourself is important. You need useful resources. So this book by Morgan Housel, Psychology of Money, might be a good start. You might also want to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. What I find with reading some of those books is you need to take what is working for you or what you feel will work for you, because not all of us can do everything. You need to see what resonates with you more and take some action about it. You can look at these YouTube channels as well. Follow them. I follow them. I still learn from them, and I just listen. The reason why having financial literacy is important is that you just don't jump on every trend, because something new is going to come up, something new is going to happen. So people are talking about cryptocurrency. I don't talk about it a lot because only a small part of my portfolio is invested in that. So a lot of things will be shared. Remit Shetty is, follow him on YouTube, follow our Rich Journey on YouTube. Go to Netflix. There's a show there called How to Get Rich by Remit Shetty. Do free to also watch that. These are resources you can start with. They're all there. My course is for the purpose of taking action. As for materials that you can use, there's a lot of them in the world. My course is to say, step 1, do this, and you go and do it. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Step 4, do this. One of the things you will see in the course is you're able to auto set your investments. So you're able to set your investment account to invest automatically. You're able to set your account to go and save money as well. You're able to set your account to the maximum limit for which you want it, to put the money out, or for what you want to pay for, and only have in your checking account the money you actually want to spend. So that's why the course is important, for you to take action. And then on top of all of that, we get the opportunity to have a one-on-one and talk about your strategy and what you need to do within 60 to 90 minutes. All right. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I'm very excited to have shared all of that with you. If you have any comments, any questions, we've still got 3 minutes more. Please just drop that in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining. Do join our social media platforms, send us emails, um, join the community because that's where I share lots of information as well. Oh, thank you, Kuda, for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. So Kuda put in the chat, if you're not doing anything yet, the course will pay for itself once you start implementing the strategies. That's my test. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So we do have someone who's joined, who's done the course. Thank you. All right. And do email us at uphill at admin@uphillgt.org. If you have any questions, want to follow up, do that. Cool. Oh yes, so you've got the community links in the chat. You've also got the links to the courses in the chat. So, but do feel free to email to get those. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. See you later. Yay! Well done, Anna. Do email us how you're going and if you need any support. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day and evening. Bye for now. Thank you, Dorothy.